The point of this hearing is to ask a very simple question. How many people will die if the Affordable Care Act is repealed? How many people will die and suffer if 20 million Americans who will receive health insurance of one kind or another under the Affordable Care Act do not receive that insurance? Today, there are 48 million Americans who have no health insurance. 48 million. Today, we are the only country in the industrialized world that doesn't guarantee health care to people as a right. Today, we are spending, despite all of those horrible statistics, almost twice as much per capita on health care as any other nation. And when we talk about 48 million people not having any health insurance, that only tells half the story. Because there are tens of millions of other people who do have health insurance, but they have large deductibles and they have large copayments. And when they get sick, when they are in pain, they say, can I afford to go to the doctor? And many of them end up saying, no, I can't afford to go to the doctor. It will get better. I'll go next week. I'll go next month. And I have talked to physicians throughout the state of Vermont who have told me time and time again that they have treated patients who have walked in the door and they have said to those patients, you are really ill now. Why didn't you come in here 6 months ago when you first detected your illness? And people say, I didn't have any insurance. I don't want charity. I just felt awkward about coming in to your office. And some of those people died.
This discussion is particularly important to me because of an experience that I had almost exactly 40 years ago. I was 29 years old. I was married. I had two small children under the age of 4, and had good health coverage. And part of the health coverage that I had a provision of free checkup every year. And I think that's and basically because it was a free checkup and because the health plan that I was in had Wednesday night hours, I still remember Wednesday night hours, where you could go in without taking a day off of work and without having to write a check and get a checkup. And I hadn't had a checkup, I think at that point, in something like 10 or 11 years. And this was the first year I had this coverage, so I said, well, I'll get the checkup. I went in, had the checkup, the doctor looked me over and noticed a mole on my back. And he said, I don't like the looks of that. I think we should remove it. I didn't give it much thought. He removed it, took 5 minutes, and went back in the next week to have the stitches out. And the doctor said, I think you better sit down. We biopsied the mole, and you have a disease called malignant melanoma, which at that time I didn't really know what it meant. I thought it was a skin cancer, not a big deal. I learned subsequently that it's a very deadly form of cancer. I had surgery. The surgery was successful. There isn't the slightest doubt in my mind that had I not had that coverage and had the preventive care without a copay, I would not be here today. The thing about melanoma is it is one of the most dangerous form of cancers, but it's also one of the most treatable. And it's a very simple analysis. You catch it in time and you live, and you don't catch it in time and you die. And I've had a number of friends who have died of it. So we talk about this issue of health care and health insurance and argue about the economics and jobs and all those kinds of things. But to me, I've had a hard time throughout my life wrestling with the reality of why me. Because somewhere else in America that year, there was another young man, I'm sure, with my general description and age and situation, who didn't have health insurance, who didn't go in for a checkup, who had eventually a lump in his neck or something like that, finally went in, found out he had melanoma. It was too late. He probably had surgery and chemotherapy. It didn't matter. It cost a lot of money. And he died.